All right, here we go. In 5, 4, 3.
Yummy like a gummy bear.
It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this for November 15th, 2020. I muted myself on that back half of saying 2024. November 15th, 2024. For the next hour or so, let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game Mess Mornings Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today, we get our first glimpse at PS5 Pro sales, and Phil Spencer has more to say. But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host of Game Mess Mornings. It's Jesse Vitelli, everybody. Jesse, Mr. Vitelli, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's Friday. It's the end of the week. We've made it.
We've made it.
I'm ready to go.
Everyone's here together. We did a lot of work this week. We're going to do hopefully a little bit less work next week. That would be ideal. And then even less the week after that until eventually we do no work at all. In the meantime, though, we got to get some business done here. We'll get into all of that here pretty soon. But I don't know, Jesse, how you feeling about this year? You're the RPG guy. A lot of good RPGs. Have you played through like all of the big ones? Are you like getting into Dragon Quest 3 now? What's up?
Yeah. So I have played most of the RPGs this year. Like I finished Infinite Wealth, Rebirth, Persona 3, Metaphor. I'm sure there's been Dragon's Dogma 2. Like
Right.
I've made I've gone through them. I'm currently going through Dragon Age, the Veilguard. I'm about, I think, close to halfway through that. And then once I finish that up, I will probably jump into Dragon Quest. Time permitted. I'm also trying to catch up on like a million other games from this year. So like I just finished Rise of the Golden Idol yesterday. Which fantastic. I want to get to 1,000 Times Resist, and I want to get to Mouthwashing before the end of the year.
Oh yeah, Mouthwashing's one I want to play on stream for sure. Mouthwashing, people don't know, is we played that weird fish horror game.
How Fish Are Made.
Yeah, on giantbomb not too long ago, and this Mouthwashing is the follow up from the same developers, I suppose. Yeah. Okay. So of those RPGs, Keeley said they're gonna have the nominees for the Game of the Year on Monday, I think. I don't have a news story about that, everybody. Mostly because I don't care, but I am interested in what Jesse Vitelli thinks of those RPGs are the most likely to be nominated for that Game of the Year category, the big award.
Yeah. So I think it's kind of between two right now. I think Rebirth and Metaphor are kind of the two front runners here, which I'm really happy that Metaphor has a pretty good shot of getting nominated, because I think it's a new IP. Obviously, it's from like the ex-Persona devs. Like it had the dev power behind it, but I'm really glad to see that it like stuck the way that it did, because I really enjoyed Metaphor. I think Dragon Age maybe sneaks in as that sixth slot.
Could, yeah.
Because I think you have a pretty strong like Rebirth, Metaphor, Balatro. I think is pretty high up on the chances of getting nominated.
I think Balatro's on there, right? I think I'll be surprised at this point if Balatro's not nominated.
They always have that like one indie game that like ends up in the running, like your Stray or your Hades or whatever.
It Takes Two, which ended up winning Game of the Year. Yeah.
Psychonauts 2 was robbed that year.
Published, but everyone knows what I mean. Yeah. So okay, so I'm with you on Balatro, and then I think you're right. Like that would be, there's 6 nominees. I'm like, Astrobot is 4 right there, and then like what goes in those last 2 slots, I'm not sure.
Maybe a Helldivers 2. Maybe.
Yeah, Black Myth Wukong I think has a chance of kind of sneaking in there. Yeah, we'll see. I'll be interested to see what actually does happen there. I lied earlier when I said I don't care. I kind of care. Mostly I care about other people's game opinions though. So we'll keep talking about that Game of the Year stuff coming up later this year. Everybody, I'm looking forward to it. All right, let's explain what we do here. Most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings, or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with PS5 Pro tops Japanese hardware in debut week with over 78,000 units sold. This is Japanese sales. Famitsu tracks this stuff with the help of a firm over there. This comes by way of Michael Herodens at PSU, but also Gamatsu, all that stuff. The PS5 Pro has gotten off to an impressive start in its native Japan, with the latest Famitsu figures revealing that Sony's high-end console has moved 78,086 units during its debut week. To put that in perspective, I think let's go actually, significantly better, like around 10% better in that range than what the PS4 Pro did. So it's already off to a little bit of a faster start than the PS4 Pro, which I don't think is what most people were anticipating. Now, we could talk about the factors, but just on its face, hey, no, they sold 78,000 PS5 Pros. That's money in the bank. I think I was expecting things to be a little slower for this, $700 console. I don't know how much yen it is. It's very expensive in Japan as well. I was expecting slower sales. How about you?
Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised to hear this, especially like outperforming the PS4 Pro.
Yes.
Just because like the PS4 Pro made so much more sense to me logically. It's like, okay, 4K TVs are becoming more common. PlayStation Pro is like, going all on that. I still don't fully understand what the PlayStation 5 Pro's deal is. It's got like a rib cage on it. Like that's to me, that's what the PS5 Pro is. But
God put the extra rib cage bone back. Yes, that's how it works.
Exactly. It's to balance everything out finally. So yeah, it's surprising to me. I'm somebody who is like so far removed from like wanting this thing in any capacity that it's surprising to me that so many people do want it. But also like, hey, if you got the money, go for it.
Yeah. Over the years, and then we're talking like, the last 10, 15-ish years, maybe 15, PlayStation sales, hardware sales have trended down in Japan, and then they very recently started to peak back up. Some people speculate, and I don't know if there's any evidence behind this, that a lot of PlayStation 4s and now especially PlayStation 5s in Japan get purchased and then immediately arbitraged over to China. Someone buys it in Japan for this much, they take it to China, they sell it for quite a bit more, and they make a pretty penny. Because that market's a little bit more closed down. There are PlayStations there, but this is just apparently an easier way for most people to get PlayStations in China. There's probably some truth to that. Now, the PS5 Pro, sold very well. You go look at the software charts. The software is still dominated by Switch. There's like, I think Slitterhead was the one PS5 game on there, and it sold like 5,000 copies or something like that. Maybe not even 5,000 copies in its first week. But PS5 Pro is all digital unless you get the disk drive. So looking at the software chart, which is going to be hard copies only, is actually not that helpful, not that informative. So it's impossible to say, is this being purchased by people in Japan, for people in Japan or not? And also at a certain point, kind of doesn't matter. There is demand somewhere. It is benefiting sales in Japan. Whatever, 78,000 sold in the first week. Whoever's ended up purchasing these things is pretty impressive. More impressive than what I was expecting. We will get some more insight into how this thing performed when, Matt Piscatella and Circana have their report about, PlayStation sales in, I guess, for November. We'd have to wait for the December report. So the next report is coming out probably next week, I think, from Matt. And that won't have anything about PS5 Pro, but the next one after that, a month from now. Overall, though, like all of this, like getting into the weeds of how it's performing, it seems like it's doing its job at the very least of what Sony could have expected from this, right?
Yeah, these like mid-gen like refreshes are always weird because it's like, okay, well, you have like such a large install base for your PlayStation 5 already that it's like, you're only getting a small sliver of that pie that's going to move up, or a smaller piece that's like, oh, I've been waiting for this. Like I didn't want to buy a PS5 yet. Now I'll finally hop
in. And like, why were they waiting? Most likely because they were price sensitive, right? Not because they wanted a more powerful thing. Not to say those people don't exist, but you're right. It's a small fraction.
My roommate is like a really good example of this. He's been, going back and forth on whether he's going to get a PS5 or not. And he's like, oh, well, like I've been hearing rumors that there's going to be a Pro, this was like last year. And then they announced it and he was like, oh, so like the regular PS5 is going to get like cheaper now. And I'm like, maybe. And then
maybe
it
for
like,
a little
didn't
bit.
Like,
yeah.
And it like wasn't even like sales like weren't enough to like make him be like, okay, well, now's the time for me to jump in. Like now so he's still like, oh, I'm just waiting for like a good deal. Like yep. I don't have $700 to drop. And like, that's been the sentiment I've heard around like my non-gamer friends for the most part has been like, oh, we're just waiting for things to get cheaper, and instead things are getting more
expensive.
So.
Yeah. There was that price cut announced in the Sony video for the holidays for the standard PS5 Digital Edition Slim. And so it's going to be $380, but then they edited that out of the video and re-uploaded it. So it's like, wait, what is going on here? It probably will be at that price at some retailers over the holidays, but it's weird that they cut that out. So yeah, maybe the deal does come, but it will be for the base edition, which is what you're saying. Like, they're not going to buy the $700 console, but maybe if they can get a good deal on the standard PS5, they might jump in now.
Yeah. That seems to be the sentiment that I've been hearing.
Yeah. We kind of, this is what we anticipated PS5 Pro would be for a certain audience. And that, I think Sony's clearly proven right that audience is out there and does want that. And it's not massive, but it's big enough to justify a professional PS5, while the other one's still in the market doing the bulk of the work of expanding the install base, which, they've already done very well. It's at 65-ish million consoles sold for PS5 at this point in the generation. That's very good. And they do want to keep growing it, but they also don't want to lower the price too much, and they kind of want to just get more money from people that are already in the ecosystem, and that's what the PS5 Pro is all about. All right, let's switch over to Microsoft. Phil Spencer continues to give interviews this week. This headline says, Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo console market isn't growing, according to Phil Spencer. This is from Eddie McHugh at GameSpot. The video game console market isn't growing, Microsoft gaming CEO Phil Spencer said in a new interview, and that's part of the reason why you don't need an Xbox to play Xbox these days. The console space all up isn't growing across all of them, Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo. We love those customers, but in terms of continuing to expand and grow Xbox, it's about PC, it's about cloud, and it's about making our games more available in more spaces, Spencer told Rolling Stone. Just because the console market isn't growing, that doesn't mean Microsoft is abandoning consoles. Spencer said Microsoft will definitely do more consoles in the future, and we'll talk about that here in a second as well. Okay, let's start with this first part. God, it feels like we're getting this same song and dance a bunch of times now, and I it's true, it's definitely true. But I do wonder why. I don't wonder why. I know why Phil Spencer needs to come out and keep saying this, because the console gamers keep saying, "Hey, what about us?" And I think he's trying to like kind of kindly say, it's like, you ain't enough. I remember way back in a long time ago, GameSpeed, I wrote a story about how the PlayStation gamer wasn't enough for PlayStation, and that's why they were putting stuff out on PC. And it's like, we're still on that same story. We're in that same story. It's just now things are getting more extreme. It's like the console gamer as a whole just isn't enough for these major corporations, and so they are looking to grow elsewhere. I think the question we always have, Jesse, is, he says the answer is PC, cloud, and putting the games in more places. And it's like, well, yeah, you've been trying that. It hasn't seemed to be making much of a difference up to this point, right?
Yeah, it's always strange to me because, I feel like a lot of these companies have like these wider goals, these wider ambitions of like, yeah, like let's put our thing on everything. Like let's be on phones, let's be on whatever. And I know so many people, and I know this is like a US thing versus like a
sure, yeah, different markets are different
elsewhere
about this.
Place. But it's like so many people I know don't want to play like Halo on a phone. Like that is just so unappealing to them. And so I think it's one of those things where like a lot of people maybe feel like, oh, well, like they're not doing anything with the cloud and the phone, like none of that matters. And then you go and you look at a different market and it's like, no, that's actually exclusively how some of these other people play all of their games. And we're just looking at our like own little like purview in front of us. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I feel like we've been hearing the same song and dance for like years and years and years. And I don't know if we're actually seeing the benefits of this. Like, is this working for them? I don't know. I can't tell because they just keep saying it. And I feel like I haven't seen that killer app on the phone that everyone's like, all right, yeah, like let's cloud time onto my phone. Let me pull my Xbox controller out of my backpack and sit down at a cafe and like rip through some Gears 6. Like, I don't know. Like, is that what it is? Is that where we're at?
I think the reality is like, no, it's not that. And what he's, really saying here is, look, we will keep taking your money as long as you console gamers and traditional cable gamers want to keep giving us your money. But when we are looking to what we're doing next, we are not looking at like, or at least we're no longer looking at play Gears of War on your phone because we know you don't want that. We know that's not what you're here for. So we still got to get our growth. Where's that going to come from? We are going to find that by making different kinds of games for a different kind of audience, and we might be leaving you behind just a little bit. Look, hey, we got Call of Duty Black Ops 6 now. We're selling that to you. It's really big. You fuckers keep buying that. Enjoy it. And in the meantime, we're going to be looking at doing more stuff like through King and mobile gaming and all this other stuff. And I think that's why it's like he has to be a little bit coy about this, and why I think this is so frustrating is because I think he's really saying one thing, and then gamers keep hearing like, okay, so you're going to just put these games on cloud and we're supposed to play it there. And he's like, I don't think he really cares anymore. If we come along and play the stuff on cloud, they're going to find their growth some other way. If this console space and the space that we're coming from doesn't break out of the confines in which it's in right now, which I think we mostly don't want. We don't want to like stop this. I'm reading that Innovators book that Mike told me about, which is about the history of computing. And it's like there was this huge debate for a long time at the early part of personal computing about whether there should be personal computers where people have the silicon right in front of them in their hands, or should they just have dumb terminals that access a mainframe and do time sharing on a computer. And it's like, oh, we're back there again with when we're talking about cloud versus devices that people have. And every time that we've done everyone wants to have the intimate personal computer and that's what's worked, it kind of just shifts back to like, can we do the cloud thing again? And it's, I don't know, it feels like maybe if you keep focusing on the personal device, that is what people will become most attached to. But these corporations really like this idea of, no, we'll just control everything, and maybe we can get you that way, and it'll be more cost effective for us at that point, and it'll be less of a barrier of entry for you. So here's some benefits. And I think we're just like, no, we like to own the chain here. And I think at a certain point, if Microsoft has enough power here, it's like they'll be like, okay, fine. Look, we got a whole new generation of people that don't care about the things you care about, and we will sell stuff to them.
Yeah, I think people just really love having their thing and it being them and them having ownership over it. But yeah, these companies want you in their ecosystem so deep, and the further they can remove you from that personal device and bring you like, oh no, everything you do is a service that is run through us. You are going to pay us a subscription. We are going to be able to rotate out that catalog, change that thing, put in this new ad here, do whatever. And it's like, you don't have any ownership over this. Like, this is a subscription that you are using, and that if you do not like, you can cancel, but you don't really have anywhere else to go. That's ultimately what they want.
Yeah, Phil Spencer went on to say, we'll definitely do more consoles in the future. This comes from Jonas Mackey at Game Reactor. Ever since Microsoft announced earlier this year it would start releasing games for competing formats, many have been talking about what this means for the future of Xbox. Whether it's even possible to sell consoles if you don't have any exclusive content is a question that seems valid. However, back in February, Xbox Game Studio executives said they were working on a new console that would be brutally powerful. And Microsoft's gaming boss, Phil Spencer, openly admitted that they are working on portable hardware. He also recently stated that the Xbox division is currently doing better than ever before. Part of that is, putting games everywhere. Now Spencer has been interviewed by Rolling Stone, and the topic of upcoming consoles came up again, whereupon he said that there is no doubt that there will be more Xbox devices. We'll definitely do more consoles in the future and other devices. He also mentioned that, unfortunately, consoles are not increasing market share from generation to generation. That's the conversation we just had. Like, they are still going to make consoles, so what are we complaining about? And it's like, I think the issue that we're getting at here is, they're going to make consoles, and they will continue to have a place to sell Call of Duty and all this stuff. Sure, and they might try some new stuff in that space, but I think their focus has already moved beyond that, and they're trying to just be the Microsoft app. And I think they've kind of looked past this for a long time now, right? I don't know how important the console is to them truly, other than, we have Microsoft Surface laptops, but we're the Windows company, and I think the same thing might happen with gaming, right?
Yeah, and like, I think they're totally okay with that. I mean, they're Microsoft. They own Windows. They're going to put their stuff on PC. They're going to put their stuff on Xbox. I don't know. I don't know where they go from here. An Xbox handheld sounds sick. Like, sure. Hey, I've become really I've become a PC handheld sicko. Like, I love my Steam Deck. I got all the different Anbernic like devices now, and I'm just like, I'm in this world. And I'm like, oh, you want to give me another one? You want to give me an Xbox One? I don't know how that's going to be any different than like the 3 I already have, but like, yeah, let's do it. Like, sure, but give me a thing that just has Game Pass like installed on it easily. Like, don't nothing to freck and just play all my stuff. Like, yeah, sure, why not?
Yep, and it's I'm also curious to see like what the next Xbox looks like in terms of how they position this stuff, because I think what they're going to go for is, the rumors have been that, hey, the next Xbox will be more open and you could install something like Steam on there. And I think the reason they make that choice is is one, like, hey, okay, we're completely rethinking what the hardware can be when it's coming to be when it's a console, sure. But really, I think what it is like Xbox wants to lead the charge in what they want the future to look like, which is consoles that work more like PCs, so you can install any store, so that one day they can install the Microsoft gaming app on PlayStation, and they don't have to like sell their games through the PlayStation Network. Yeah. They could just sell it through the Xbox app, and then they could take 100% of the revenue and cut out Sony, which is what like Epic has been able to accomplish on mobile stores like Google Play, and to a certain degree the Apple iStore, or the App Store, excuse me. And so I think they're like, well, we'll position this new console as like, hey, this is what it should look like, and we're doing it. So regulators, why can't everyone else do it? And I think it's fine that if that's your long-term strategy, it's like, but boy, it felt like the strategy should have been make some really great games, and that will solve most of your problems, right?
Yeah, it always feels like they have this grander plan, or they think they do, and they're like, oh well, like we bought all these studios, like eventually we'll get some good games out of this, and it's like they're over here like figuring out like the next step of whatever they're. Remember, there were like rumors a long time ago that like Game Pass was going to come to Switch, and like that was the thing we were all talking about for a long time. Scalebound was gonna come back, and like, we had all these grand ideas of what would happen. And I feel like this is the natural evolution of the rumor of like, oh, Game Pass is going to come to Switch. And it's like, because that's where they've always been thinking for the last 8 to 10 years. It's like, that's what they want to be. They want to be the service on other platforms selling their games to people on Nintendo Switch, on PlayStation, on PC, wherever they are. That's where they want to be. They want to be the service company. And honestly, I think they're positioned well to do it because they have Microsoft, and they're able to get themselves into wherever they need to do. They have the server space, they have the cloud space, they have all of this because Microsoft is built to have all of that. And so it's a strong pitch, honestly. Like, if you're telling me I could one day maybe boot up my PlayStation and be like, oh, let me open the Microsoft store, and pick up Halo, and I'll play it on my PlayStation because that's just the easiest way for me to get this done. I don't got to like pull my Xbox out of the closet or wherever it is in my other part of my apartment. That's an appealing prospect. And I think a lot of people at the end of the day wouldn't care as long as they're getting the games that they want to play. They don't really care where they're playing them.
Yeah. I mean, they have this new, this is not an Xbox strategy, or not strategy, but ad campaign. And they're just explicitly saying that everyone's picking up on what they're putting down. It's like, eventually this ad, which has, like, oh, a toaster, and like, that's not an Xbox, and then a phone, this is an Xbox. Well, we get where that ends up, which is, here's a PS5, and that is an Xbox. And I think you're right that people will accept that at a certain point. It's just in the meantime, it feels very odd, and it feels like everyone's like, oh, Microsoft's going third party, and it's like, I just don't know if that's the right way to frame it anymore, because things are so different than when like Sega was making hardware and then they went third party. I think what Microsoft thinks is happening is everything is changing, and there doesn't, like, the first party third party dynamic just doesn't apply anymore, and you need to be this new thing where the platform is the central thing that is bringing people in, the ecosystem itself. And we've been there for a while in many ways. I mean, a lot of games that are successful are just platforms unto themselves, Fortnite and Roblox and Minecraft and all these other things. And Final Fantasy 14, like, they're out there. These things are just reasons that people go to games at all, and then they just stick to that, and their whole social network is attached to these games. And Microsoft's like saying, we're going to build the multi-game version of that, and that will be the first party of that, and the hardware will be a secondary thought at a certain point. And I don't think that any of that is wrong. It's just such an awkward transition that we're in right now that it doesn't feel great.
Yeah, we don't really have like the terminology for it.
Yeah.
In order to describe it, because like it is I mean, like we always talk about how young this industry is and how new relative this is to a lot of other industries. Like what we're seeing right now is like a pretty massive shift if this is how this ends up going, like kind of unprecedented in a lot of ways. And so I think it's just about like the growing pains of like learning, like, okay, what does this mean for everything? And like, how do we describe a lot of these things? Like what's the new term that's going to be coined from all of this?
Yeah.
Like how do you eventually describe Xbox if this is the way that they go? Like, I don't know. It's a lot of unknown right now.
Yep. I think one thing's clear though. It's like they're not going back. It's not going to.
No.
One day it's not going to be like, oh, this is the Xbox 360 generation all over again from Xbox. That's done. They're not going back. They're going for something different, and whether or not it will work, we'll have to wait and see. All right, last little one here from Microsoft. Avowed's new release date has been confirmed. This is from Chris Scullion at VGC. Microsoft has announced the new release date for Avowed. Obsidian's first-person fantasy RPG will be released on February 18th. We kind of knew it was coming around then, but it's February 18th now confirmed. You can get it 5 days early, February 13th, if you buy the premium edition, I think for $90. But if you want to wait, get it on Game Pass. You can get it on the 18th. That puts it in that really tough month with a lot of other stuff. They said that one of the reasons that they moved it in the first place was to give it room to breathe, but that was compared to their other first-party releases. And we had Diablo 4 expansion, Black Ops 6, and then Indiana Jones. And we kind of wanted to move this Avowed around. And it's like there was a time where it's like they would not have cared because every game you add in one space just gives more people more reason to get subscribed to Game Pass. And then it's like, well, they play the games linearly, so they play through Black Ops 6 for a while, and then that game is waiting for them there. And so it doesn't really hurt them if their focus is Game Pass. But the focus has shifted. It's clearly back on selling products. And in that world, you want to make sure that you give a game like this space in your own schedule so you can maximize the return and that makes some sense, but Monster Hunter Wilds, Assassin's Creed, Civilization 7, there's a bunch of other games coming out in February. I think this game still has a shot of like really kind of standing out if it gets really good word of mouth, right?
Yeah, I mean we've known about it for a long time. It has the benefit of having Xbox behind it. Like it's going to be out in front of people. People are going to know that thing is coming out. They're going to market it hopefully better than some of their games that they've marketed in the past this year. And I think it has like a real strong shot at being just what a lot of people have been looking for, which is that sort of Elder Scrolls-esque RPG style game that they have not gotten from Bethesda in a while. And so, I think it's got a strong shot at standing out. The question is like, if that's a long 80-hour, 60-hour RPG, are people going to stick with it when the 3 other games they want to play that month drop 2, 3, 4 days afterwards?
Yep.
I don't know. But they have a good shot at that opening weekend. Mm-hmm. That like, okay, we can get people for a weekend, and if we can get our claws in them, then I think they'll finish this game out before they move on to their next thing. But
and it does have the advantage of being one of the games that's in Game Pass, and so it'll have like there will be a lot of people who just play it because they're subscribed and it's the next big game, and they might have gotten Game Pass for Black Ops 6, and so they still have it. And that'll help, and then the rest of it will just be down to, hey, are people really enjoying it? The people that are playing it because of Game Pass, and if that word of mouth pops off, I think Avowed will do much better than we're all kind of thinking in this moment, where a lot of people are just like forgetting about the game and not really thinking about it at all.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, plenty more to talk about, including Unreal going into like the public domain, kind of, not really, but we'll talk about it after this. All right, we're back. Let's get right back into it. Here's the headline. Unreal and Unreal Tournament are free on Internet Archive. This is from Ian Walker at Polygon. Unreal, the first-person shooter that introduced Unreal Engine to the world, and its multiplayer-focused follow-up Unreal Tournament have been preserved via the Internet Archive and are freely available for download with the blessing of developer Epic Games. Old Unreal first shared the news with its long-standing community of die-hard Unreal fans on October 29th, and more recently released special installers that streamline the process of getting these decades-old games ready to play on modern Windows operating systems. Basically, you just like get these installers, and then the installer will reach out to the Internet Archive, repository, and get the game and all of the most recent updates so that it will run appropriately on whatever version of Windows you have. And it's like, oh, that's pretty neat. And, you know, this Epic's like, yeah, just these old games, we want to have them preserved. And the way we think to do that is Internet Archive. Gotta say, I love this. I think this is a really cool move. How about you?
Yeah, anytime we can preserve games in any capacity, that is the goal. Like, that is one of the biggest problems. Not the biggest problem. We have plenty of other problems in the gaming industry that need to be solved. But like preservation is like a very real problem that this industry has. And anyway, especially classic games like Unreal Tournament, like games that are so beloved, like a lot of times we give them like the remaster treatment, and it's like, okay, but that's still not like the thing that I remember from when I was a kid necessarily. And they're like, no, we're gonna put this up. You're gonna have to do a little bit of work to get it running, but like, we're gonna try and make this as easy as possible for you. And now you can just enjoy the thing that you enjoyed when it was out. And I think that's like a really, really cool thing.
Oh, well, I agree 100%. And, you know, the fans, there is a massive fan community for Unreal, you know, for one of these games, you know, relatively speaking, but a massive community. And they have things like servers going, ready to go. So there are ways to play this game. And now a very easy way to access it. And I think part of it's, you know, you could put a free game on like GOG or something like that, or itch.io. But I think, I don't know, just putting it on Internet Archive and just saying, go get it from this thing. It's just free on the internet, on a web page. Excuse me. I just, part of it just makes me think like, oh, that's so much easier to access. This might help that old community grow a little bit. And also, you know, I feel like once you put it on the Internet Archive, you can't undo that. It's forever. You know, I know the Internet Archive and the way it does things is under a little bit of a threat recently, especially after losing that court case about being a digital online library. But if a company gives its blessing, well, that's just it. We're good to go. The horse's mouth has said, hey, this is awesome. Let's keep doing this. And I think it would be hard for Epic to change their mind. Not that I think they would. I hope, ideally, this kind of sets a precedent and other companies begin following this. You know, there's the Video Game History Foundation. Part of me hopes it's like, okay, maybe the Video Game History Foundation can work with the Internet Archive to like come up with a process or something, like just some easy steps to follow to enable other companies to do the same thing, and then maybe work with the ESRB to like break, like to thaw the ice wall they have around preservation and make this a little bit more frequent. Although I know, Jesse, I'm probably dreaming, right?
Yeah, it's going to be an uphill battle for sure, and it may be something that takes way too long to get done in the future. But I think I think we're starting to push a little bit more in that direction. And so I don't want to say it's impossible. I don't want to say it'll never happen, but right. I do think it is still very, very, very difficult. And there's a lot of reasons why this stuff is the way that it is. I'm not saying they're good reasons, but like, I think the more we push and the more times we see things like this, where it's like, look how easy it is. Look, like you could just put it here and it's okay and it's fine. And your company didn't go under, you didn't lose shareholder profits. Like, you're fine. I think we just need more of that. Yep. And hopefully that'll sway enough people.
I think this kind of thing happens because Epic and Tim Sweeney see themselves as like, we're doing things right for the gamer, you know, gamers' rights and all this stuff. And you know, don't let that fool you. Not that I think anyone in this audience is really being fooled. They're the company that also got in a lot of trouble for dark patterns in Fortnite and tricking people into spending more money than people intended to spend and putting buttons in weird spaces so you accidentally bought stuff. So they're ready to manipulate you just like any other company in capitalism. Sometimes they're ready to do that more than other companies. So, but this is still cool, and I'm glad they're doing it.
You got to just think about that one image of Tim Sweeney with the Tesla ball on the ground in the office when he was showing off Unreal Engine 5 or whatever, and that Jeff Keighley original Summer Game Fest that was like 3 months long, and we just got weird things happening all the time. Think about that image. He's like drinking Popeyes. It's like 10 in the morning. He's got the lightning Tesla ball on the floor. That's who we're dealing with. Always keep that in mind.
And then we're also dealing with the one that in that video, like a video tour of Epic, he just went outside and had made the video, like the camera guy watch him climb a tree, which is just real choice shit, real good stuff.
Touching grass on in 4K.
Yeah, right in front of there's proof that he's touched grass before. We have it on video evidence.
It's indisputable.
It will hold up in court. Following StarCraft reports, Blizzard is hiring for an open world shooter game. This is from Jordan Midler at VGC. Blizzard is advertising job roles for an upcoming open-world shooter game. The job roles have been published following a report earlier this year that Blizzard was once again working on a StarCraft shooter. Multiple roles, including associate design director, senior designer, and principal designer for an unannounced game, are being advertised. Hey, this is the one that Jason Schreier was talking about. We talked about it on the episode of Bombcast we had him on, where, this is their third attempt at making a StarCraft shooter. But they're pretty far along on it. They're really working on it. And now sounds like these job postings are for that game, and they are hiring even more people. Do you think first that an open world shooter StarCraft game ever comes out?
No.
I think that's the safe bet, right?
Yeah.
And then
I don't know what they do. I don't know what keeps happening. They're just not working. Whatever they want to work, it's not working. It's not happening.
Yep. And then, okay, let's say it does come out. What do you want from it? Because I'm not sure. I guess open world is it like Far Cry? Like, I don't know what I want from this game.
Yeah, because they had Dan Hay working at that studio for a while, formerly of Far Cry, and then they were doing the survival game. It was a whole thing. I don't know, because I'm not a huge StarCraft person. I'm a huge Warcraft person. StarCraft never really my bag, and that's fine. I'm not a big RTS
Jesse
person.
Vitelli needs the orcs. That's what he needs.
Yeah, I honestly I need the orcs.
Yeah, I get it.
If you need to ascribe anything to me, I need the orcs. And so I don't really know a lot about StarCraft lore, but I have a hard time feeling like they don't make this and it doesn't come off like generic. Yeah. And I don't mean that like disrespectfully. I don't know what's special to StarCraft that you could turn into a shooter that is not being done by other sci-fi shooters already.
Right. I close my eyes and what is this? Does this look like Rage 2? Like, what is this even? I have no idea what to expect from this. That said, whatever, give it a chance, give it a try, and I hope it comes out. I want to see what they make here. I think I set my default position here the same as you do, that I don't think this ever comes out, and then okay, they're making it. What do I want them to do? I don't know. I'm not very helpful. Thankfully, I'm not on the payroll, so they'll have to figure it out on their own. But yeah, I'm still curious, interested, want to see it. But I like sitting here. It's like I don't know if anything I could just say like if I'm gonna use these touch points. Like I say Far Cry, StarCraft, and I'm like I don't think that sounds what I want at all.
Space Marine.
Yes, I mean space
divers,
right? Yeah,
like, is that the kind of?
I think that stuff could work, but I mean they're describing an open world shooter game, so I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe honestly, we might not. Yeah. We might never see. Actually, is maybe the more likely scenario.
Let's touch base in 4 years from now. We'll see where we're at.
Sounds good. Yes. GTA Trilogy removes developer credit following major graphical update. This is from Chris Scullion at VGC. Rockstar has removed Grove Street Games credits from the start of Grand Theft Auto: The Trilogy Definitive Edition following a major graphical upgrade. The surprise patch was released on Tuesday and made notable improvements to the much criticized remasters. However, one of the other changes is the apparent removal of Grove Street Games' logo at the start of each game and references to them in the game's copyright blurb. VGC loaded a pre-patched version of Grand Theft Auto Vice City, which opens with a splash screen showing game artwork and the Grove Street Games logo and copyright information relating to Rockstar, Grove Street Games, and Epic Games for the use of the Unreal Engine. However, after downloading the patch, we were instead met with a different screen showing a black background and revised copyright information relating only to Rockstar and Epic Games. Grove Street Games was one of the main developers behind the Definitive Edition, but when it was released in November 2021, players quickly criticized how it looked, citing odd character models, a complete lack of fog, issues with rain effects, and poor quality AI upscaling, which added typos to numerous in-game shop signs and billboards. When the Definitive Edition was ported to mobile devices in December 2023, it included a new classic lighting mode, which players praised for looking much more authentic and in line with the original version's art style. Yeah, that's what they did. It's basically they updated all versions of Grand Theft Auto to make it look like the more updated mobile versions, which people said were much preferred. And then Grove Street wasn't involved with that. I think Rockstar did the work themselves. And yet, it's a little weird to like remove the original developer of the remaster because I'm sure some of that work is still in there. But I suppose if you're moving the copyright and because they would know who like has the copyright, and legally if Grove Street's still applied to the copyright, I think they would respect that. But moving from the splash screen, I'm kind of like, whatever. Are they still in the credits? It sounds like they're still in the actual credits of the game. Maybe if they're not, then I think I would have an issue with that. Because it's like, I don't think a company should be like, we cleaned up your mess, so now we're just going to completely erase your credit, right?
Yeah, it feels like a punishment where it's like,
definitely
bad job. Like, now we're taking over and you don't get the credit. Like we have to clean, like you said, we have to clean up your mess. Like it feels weirdly vindictive in a lot of ways.
Right.
But also we're talking about the company that like notoriously removes people from credits who like don't stay there till the end of their game.
Right.
They have like a slew of workplace issues. Like this all tracks as like shitty as it is. Like, to me, it's like, yeah, you could tell me that they removed it because they were upset that they did a bad job and they had to come in and spend their time to fix it. So now Grove Street is out. Like, yeah, I believe that because Rockstar has proven time and time again that that's kind of how they operate when it comes to crediting people for things on their games.
Yeah, I mean, you said it, vindictive, and Rockstar definitely that has always been, and no reason to assume that has changed. This feels like business as usual for them, but I still, deeply dislike this idea of people doing work, and basically there should just be a standardized way that crediting is done, and it should be kind of taken out of the hands of the people even doing the work. It should just be like, labor unions setting practices, and it's like if a certain amount of work gets done by this person, they're in the credits, and if they're working under a third-party company, that company should be listed there as well. And if that's the way it is, that's just the way it has to be. And we know that's not the way it works. Works that way in some other industries, film, TV, but it's not how it works in video games. And so companies just are making these unilateral decisions about who to credit and who to remove from the credits. And it just feels like another space for them to enact this. When they want to be vindictive, another place to enact that. All right. Last story here, and then we'll do something a little bit special before my last, because it's my last episode before I'm going to be out for a little bit. Donkey Konga fan creates custom track tool. This is from Ollie Reynolds at Nintendo Life. If you're a fan of the severely underrated Donkey Konga franchise from the GameCube era, then you're in luck. A dedicated fan has created a tool called Konga Beat that allows you to import songs and create your own custom tracks that can be exported to use with either Donkey Konga 2 or Donkey Konga 3. Naturally, the catch with this is that you'll need to rip a copy of either game, which might be difficult for the latter since it's exclusive to Japan, and load it up in the Dolphin emulator. That's not even the end of it either, but for the full rundown how to get everything done, you got to go to the site and check it out. But so it sounds like a little bit of a process. I hope that that gets simplified, because I was thinking it's like I would love to do this, but I also kind of want it to just work. I wanted to work the way that that Audio Shield game in early VR did, where it's like I could just load up a YouTube video and it'll use an algorithm to come up with the beats on its own, and I could just play any song I want, even if it's like some really weird bullshit I remember from like 20 years ago being a meme on YouTube. That doesn't sound like how it works right now, but I love me some Donkey Konga, so I'm happy to hear this.
Jeff Grubb, did you know that I am a rhythm game sicko?
I did not know that. That's fantastic.
I love rhythm games. I play Clone Hero. I've got a custom Clone Hero guitar like sitting next to my desk.
I got I got Stepmania over on this PC. Yeah. I play that every once in a while. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you're telling me now if I believe I have a pair of the Donkey Konga bongos in my apartment somewhere. We were
doing a show the other day with Lucy, who was doing a Blight Club, and me, Dan, and Mike within 30 seconds all stood up and got our Donkey Kong bongos at the same time. It was insane.
So I'm gonna go mess around with that later. Yeah. I'm gonna go find out about this.
Yeah, same. I want to like do some more stuff with this. I love watching Nikki's what's that music
Fuser?
Game? Yes, Fuser. Yes, their Fuser streams. Those are so entertaining, and I would like to maybe get on some of that action with some Donkey Konga. Just playing Chapel Roan. Let's make it happen.
Yeah. It's honestly so much more fun than you ever think it would be. You're like, it's not supposed to work like this. This is incredible.
It's really good. I mean, Dan had Donkey Kong Jungle Beat set up at his house during Extra Life for a little bit. I think maybe Kayla was playing it a little bit. It's like, oh yeah, this rules. This is from the Super Mario Odyssey team, and you can just tell that it's made by great developers. It feels so good. But then Donkey Konga itself, I imported Donkey Konga. I was like, I could not wait for that thing. I was so excited because I'm also a little bit of a rhythm game freak.
Yeah.
I'm Elite Beat Agents and again DDR. Just love that stuff. All right, that does it for the headlines. Let's do this. Hey, do you have a question? Let's do a little bit of GRUBBSNAX. Let's answer what people are thinking about right now. We got a couple of minutes, and then we'll wrap this show up. So if you're on Twitch, just at me. If you are on Giant Bomb chat, use the Ask a Question button. And then if you are on YouTube, I'm sorry I can't see you right now, so my apologies. All right, let's see here from Slain McAwesome. Why is Mike so bad at impressions? Last night, Jesse, someone sent in a super chat to our show, and it was with the screen name Arnold Schwarzenegger because he's Chris Pratt's father-in-law. It's a whole thing, but Mike tried to do it tried to do an Arnie impression, and at first it sounded like Wario, and then it sounded like Hitler. It was really bad. It was really bad. And yikes. In his defense, his mild defense, he never claimed to be good at voices. He's never that is not one of his skill sets, but it was just impressive to see how bad it was. It was very good stuff.
As somebody who's also very bad at impressions, I feel for Mike in this trying time.
Exactly. Yes. All right. Let's see other questions here. From Mr. Dizzy Stick. Has Audio Surf been unfairly lost to time? Yeah, right, because there are other games in that genre that have survived, but not Audio Surf, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the last time I even really thought heavily about Audio Surf.
Right.
It's been a while. I think it has unfairly been lost to time because I now feel shame for not thinking about Audio Surf as much as I should.
Yeah, God, I'm like, what did I play Audio Surf on? I can't remember. Okay, from Lexi, any word on what People Can Fly are working on? Outriders was 4 years ago. I don't know.
Outriders a lot.
Yeah, I feel like there was rumors recently about what they were working on, but now I can't remember. But yeah, I think we'll probably find out pretty soon, right? Outriders being 4 years ago. They will probably have something to follow that up here in the next year or so, you would imagine. Like a studio like that probably doesn't want to take 7-8 years between games. They probably want to try to get as close to 5 to 6 as they can. So we probably do hear about it in 2025. Wouldn't be surprised by that at all.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see here. From Tomp. What are game releases in 2025 you are most looking forward to? Jesse, you got an answer?
I mean, Monster Hunter Wilds, like with a bullet, like that. I know I've said I'm a sicko for a lot of things today, but like Monster Hunter is also up there in the things that like Monster Hunter World, Monster Hunter Rise, Monster Hunter 3. It's probably Wilds. I'm sure there's another game that I'm not thinking of right now that I'm like super excited for, but let's say Wilds is the safe bet right now.
Yeah, that's definitely an early one I'm looking forward to. I am looking forward to Civ 7. It's like, I think it's time for me to play another Civ game in a real sick way like I did 3 and 4. And I played some 5 and 6, but I'm like, no, I think I'm ready for 7. Yeah, Pirate Yakuza, absolutely. Looking forward to that, especially after really falling in love with Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth. I am ready to spend more time with those characters.
Slay the Spire 2, another one. I think is supposed to be next year.
Yep. I want to see what that Pokemon Legends game is because I like the last Pokemon Legends. Let's see what ZA is all about. Yeah.
Yeah, big time.
Let's see here from. Oh yeah, here we go from Poto Skull. This one's for you, Jesse. Can you recommend any rhythm games?
I'm gonna go to bat for Clone Hero here.
Yeah.
I know it's the one I mentioned earlier, but I think it's a lot easier to get into than people might think it is. It is a free download. There is a application called Bridge that you can download that has all of the songs compiled into one place that you can literally just click download and it just puts it into your folder in your game. And then if you have any sort of Rock Band or Guitar Hero guitar that can plug USB into your PC, like you're good to go. Like it's a few steps, but like I think you would be surprised by how big that catalog of music is because it's all the Rock Band stuff, all the guitar stuff, but then it's all custom stuff. It's people are doing like modified tracks and they're doing like fun stuff. Like I'm trying to think of like a really good example. Like people will just like make memes into tracks and then you play it and it's like 5 seconds long and it's the funniest thing you've ever seen.
That sounds
you could play Coconut Mall at 350% speed.
Yes.
Like it's a good time. It's a really, really good time. The other one that I would shout out is Thumper. That was it was back on the PS4. Thumper was like a really, really good rhythm
there's a
game.
VR version of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Those are probably the two that I go back to most frequently, I would say.
If you have a DS laying around and you haven't played it, please play Elite Beat Agents. That is just a real classic video game, one of my favorite on the DS. So, if you have a 3DS, you can find a way to play that as well. Make it
also
happen.
Parappa the Rapper.
Parappa the Rapper. Absolutely. Guitar Man. Yeah. Have you played Guitar Man?
I have not played Guitar Man.
Okay, there you go. That's a stream right there. We'll tune in. Everyone watch Jesse play Guitar
All right,
Man.
I'll play Guitar Man. I'll put it on my list next to Mr. Mosquito. It's the other one that Dan's been trying to get on the stream.
I just downloaded Mr. Mosquito on the PS5 because it was part of the classics, and I was like, that was the first time in years of having PlayStation Plus Premium on and off that I downloaded any classic game using that service, which is what the whole reason to pay for that tier. And it's like, man, I'm such a goddamn sucker. All right, let's do one more here. Let's see if we can find a question. Scrub McGrubb, what are the odds that Switch 2 gets announced when Grubb is on vacation? What do you think, Jesse?
I think it's unlikely, but I think that could be the funniest thing that Nintendo could do.
Annoyed.
Like the meme where it's like, Nintendo, you have the opportunity to do the funniest thing right now. Like that's that moment.
Yep. I think there's definitely a chance because of that specifically. This is a company that's messed with me before. Last time I cut my hair because of Metroid Prime. So they're not below that. They're not beneath that. They would do that every time. And then Mitch Narb wants to know, Grubb, what are you most excited to do on your trip? I think I'm most excited to like take the family on some rides that I know are fun. The Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, I think it's called. I'm excited to take them on that because they like those cartoons. That is just a really good one. And Rise of the Resistance, of course. Then I'm excited for some of the meals. Where we got some character dinners and stuff like that. Going to Ohana for breakfast one day. I'm just like, I want to eat some good food. So I'm looking forward to all that. The kids will be confused as to who these mice cartoons are, Dan Reichert says. Sure, yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for doing that with me, everybody. Always fun to get back into GRUBBSNAX a little bit. Let's get to the poll question. And while I do that, Jesse Vitelli, why don't you tell people what you got going on, where they can find you on the internet, and all of that good stuff?
All right. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. It's always an honor, pleasure to come on here. Love chopping it up with you.
Likewise.
So you can find me on Blue Sky is primarily where I'm at now. mamavitelli.bsky.social, I think is the handle. I don't really know how Blue Sky handles work. I think it's like if you type in Mama Vitelli or Jesse Vitelli, you'll find me.
I think I typed in Jesse Vitelli and I found you that way, I think. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So just type in my name, Jesse Vitelli. You'll find me there. I have a newsletter that is nothing to do with video games. If you are into that, you can find it on my Blue Sky profile. It's just me talking about random things that happen to me throughout the week and funny things that my friends say sometimes, and maybe a music recommendation or two. That's more of just like a thing for me than it is anything. It's a way to keep people in my personal life and professional lives updated on what's going on with me every week. They're short. They get sent right to your email. You don't got to go to a website or do anything fancy like that. You just read it in your inbox and you're like, okay, cool. Forget about this clown.
Love that.
And yeah, that's really all I got going on currently. I'm kind of just chilling. I'm going to be on a panel tomorrow. But Why Though is doing some fundraising for their website to help pay their freelance writers for next year. And so you can tune into that. If you just type But Why Though onto Twitch or Blue Sky Twitter, you'll find all of the cool things that are going on there. I'll be on a panel talking fantasy and what we love about fantasy with some other really cool people. So I highly recommend you tune into that over the weekend because they'll be going all week.
Shout outs to Boat Why Though. Everyone should tune into that, help them out. They got some good writers over there, writers that have really broken out and made the industry better. So love to see them get support. All right, poll question from yesterday. Let's see here. Are you getting Lego Horizon Adventures? 92% say no, 8% say yes. I wonder if the reviews were a little bit better, if that number would be a little bit better as well. But yeah, I think that this game is going to, first of all, not necessarily appeal to the audience that's showing up to answer this question. And then hearing that it's a little bit more boring version of a lot of other Lego games, it's like, oh, that's, those games can be a little, stale already. And a more boring version of that, it doesn't sound very enticing at all. But I had a good time playing that game when I played it at Summer Game Fest. So I'm still a little bit curious. I think if I can get a code from Sony, I might put it in front of the kids, but I'm not going to be seeking this out but is this like a $70 game? I assume it probably is. So I don't know.
No idea.
Maybe it's not. I don't know. Are you gonna check this out?
Not even a little bit.
Yeah. Are you a Horizon person at all?
I played that first game, and I think that first game was like enough for me. I was like, okay, cool. I get what this is.
Sure.
It was fine. I think the
sense,
story, the back half of that story is like better than the front half of that story. And then I played 2 hours of Forbidden West, and they have a whole scene where it's like you're getting ready to move to like the new part of like the world that you're going to.
Yep.
And they're like, here, talk to all of the characters from the first game before you leave. And I had no idea who any of those people were. And I played the first game. I was like, I don't remember any of you.
Yep.
Maybe I just don't like this game.
I think it's my opinion on Horizon in general. Is like I played each of them for a handful of hours, and I go, okay, cool. I get what you're doing here. I've had enough of it for me. I don't really have a problem with it, but I get it. I'm moving on. Mm-hmm. So yeah. But Lego Horizon Adventures, I thought would be a little bit more enticing. I like its sense of humor at least, but I don't know if that's going to be enough to convince me to get that game.
Yeah.
All right, new poll question. We'll answer this when I get back, everybody. That could be the Monday after next week, or maybe even the Wednesday, depending on how my travel goes coming back. But yeah, either way, we'll let you know. We'll keep you posted. But at that time, we'll answer this poll question. Which game are you most looking forward to in February? This is the most recent. I can only do 4 games now because YouTube took away the option to have more than that. So Civilization 7, Assassin's Creed Shadows, Avowed, or Monster Hunter Wilds. Curious to see what you're all are going to go with. I have my hunch on what's going to do best, but kind of want to see how this all shakes out. How about you? You said Monster Hunter Wilds is what you're most looking forward to?
Monster Hunter Wilds.
Yeah.
Also, for February, though, like Assassin's Creed, I'm thinking about it more and more every day. I'm like, I think I might try that game.
I'm kind of in the mood for one. Definitely. Yeah. We'll see. Again, busy month. That could change if I get stuck, Avowed takes over and I'm playing a bunch of that. Maybe I won't play Assassin's Creed. But right now, looking at that, it's like, yeah, looking forward to that. Arwol says they'll still be playing Bellatra. Okay, all right. I think that's going to do everything. There is more stuff happening on Giant Bomb. I'm not here, so I don't really know what it is. They're going to do a UPF. I don't think there's a BCR this week, but they're going to do a UPF. I think the idea is to play Call of Duty. Jan mentioned maybe some web fishing, things like that, but definitely Call of Duty, Black Ops 6. Tune in for that. I'll be watching kind of in the background while I'm finishing up some stuff here. They're going to do a Stake'em's Out 24/7.
No, they took that out. They removed it.
They removed it? Oh, damn.
They removed it yesterday. I went to play it yesterday.
Okay.
And they got rid of it.
Well, there you go. All right. So, Sean, you have to do something. He says, or whatever they have now. So, yeah, they probably have some other playlists that you'll get into.
Radioactive.
Yeah. Man, I kind of wish I could have had some time to play Call of Duty, but I'll have to just get back and play with you guys then. All right. I think in that case, any other things to clean up here? I don't know. I hope you all have a good week next week. I will actually miss you when I'm gone. Love doing this show. Love doing all the other stuff. But I'm going to go enjoy my vacation. And in the meantime, though, Jesse Vitelli, thank you for giving me a really excellent episode to send me off on. I really appreciate it, man.
That's what I'm here for, and I appreciate you for having me. That way we could finish up the week, and you can get your family to Disney World or land. I don't know the difference between the two, if we're being honest. But
yeah, it's one's in Florida. That's the only big difference. Yep, love you, man. Thank you, appreciate it. Thank you all for watching and listening. You are the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye. All right, we are off of YouTube.